Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-dudes.com.
Doing some light reading.
Just doing some light reading. This is the November 2016 Brew Your Own magazine with the sweet article about all these new electronic brewing systems. Is that what they're called?
Yes, electric brewing
compact
systems.
electric brewing systems. Now, I knew about a couple of them. The Grainfather was one. The Pico brew contraption was the other one that I think was... Well, the Zymatic, but the Pico one was the first one that I had heard of, and I actually wrote a post on our blog about how I thought this might be taking out the soul of home brewing, because here you had this box, and you push the button, you put all your stuff in, you push the button, and you...
The soul of home brewing.
You said it, and forget it.
The soul of home brewing disappeared last week, my friend.
No, it didn't.
Oh.
Well, but this was like years ago when I heard about the Pico thing.
Pico.
So you push a button, it's like George Jetson. Anybody remember that show? You push a button, I'm getting punchy from punching all these buttons.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have your beer brewing. And which...
Captain Picard says computer Earl Grey hot. And there it is.
And there we go. And so Star Trek makes it into our videos once again.
Once again. What is that? Is that really again? Okay.
It happened last week. You aren't paying attention.
Oh, you're right.
You wait to talk, not listen.
No, I'm thinking of the future. I can't remember the past.
So I don't know. Mike's trying to convince me that these devices are pretty sweet and that I should embrace them.
Here we go.
So, like, beyond like the price point, because I'm a cheap bastard, tell me about why these are good for home brewing.
Some of your favorite craft / artisanal beers made in this country are made on exactly the same type of system that these represent, only on the scale of 100 barrels at a time.
Okay.
There's some dude sitting behind a glass booth, pushing buttons, opening valves, moving liquid around. There's no hands-on part of it. So your definition of artisanal and craft has to change. These things are the same thing, just on a homebrew scale. That's it. Video over. Good night. No.
Brew.
So I think that, these things, some of them have the capability of doing the fermentation and all that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, for me, managing fermentation, temperature control, yeast counts, whatever, that's like, the fermentation is really what makes the beer. A lot of these systems just make wort for you in a much more consistent, mechanized, predictable way. You're still choosing ingredients to put into it. I think that a lot of people build, PID controlled systems. I mean, I remember before I went all grain, I used to drool over more beers.
Top tier system?
No, that's the Blickman top tier system, and now they have the Tower of Power, which is an automated, PID controller. But More Beer had their systems, the 1550, the Tippy Dump, all that stuff was tremendous. I used to drool over that stuff. Brew Magic was one of the first ones. That's the Brew Magic, I think is what's called the Brew Magic, was that system that Dogfish Head started on, using half barrel kegs on that system. So this idea of automation has been around for a long time. Making the process a little easier and more consistent is what makes you a better brewer.
That's true.
You can argue that the process, I don't know. The counter argument to that is this is a hobby, and maybe being a little more hands-on, stirring the grain yourself and moving the liquid and emptying the ton, all that stuff. I mean, maybe that stuff is part of the hobby for some people. But for other people, they love building those complex electronic driven systems, whether they're actually heated with electricity or use gas or whatever. I mean, case in point, I have a 3-burner stand that I built. How much money am I in it for that? And then I have 3 half barrels on there, so that's money. I have a pump. I've got a plate chiller. I've got a lot more tubing. I mean, a lot more money has gone into all those pieces than just having when I used to do a cooler with 1 burner and a single pot and a couple buckets. I mean, if I was to build a PID controller and get a gas solenoid valve to really recirculate my mash with control, rather than what I do now, which is just sit there and babysit the burner with a lighter, how much is my total price point? I'm probably getting pretty close to one of those systems.
Probably, and then you didn't have to do all the labor of putting it together.
And to be honest with you, we've talked about this 100 times on our site. being family people, maybe, being family guys, you got commitments, streamlining the process sometimes isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then, not having
Because if it
to
means
spend
you
all the
could make
time.
more beer more often, because it's a compact single system, that's good for the hobby. Making more beer is good for the hobby. I think the other thing too we talked about before the video was batch size. I mean, some of these scale up to pretty good batches, but a lot of them are based on like their countertop models. They only do 2 gallons at a time. I usually pour out at least a gallon of beer, either due to foam or age, from my beers. And I've actually considered scaling down my batch size just so that I could drink through beer faster, which would then force me to be able to brew more often. I can't always justify brewing more beer when all 4 taps are filled with beer,
Yeah.
Because then beer just sort of sits in the fermenter, waiting for a tap to open up. Yeah, I know. So, I don't know. I think that there's some flexibility there, but it's about your definition of.
Yeah, I know. I think it's because, well, back in my day, we didn't have these contraptions. I had to read about it and build my own little system and buy equipment and kind of piece it together my own way. There was a labor of love that went into that, and I feel accomplished because I had to go through that process. This seems like it's all been thought out for me, and maybe that's good. It probably is.
You still type in, I want a 149 mash temp, or I want a 155 mash temp. I mean, with some of these systems, you can do step mashing just by typing in the
Yeah,
steps.
you're right. And then that if it could be dialed in that precisely, I wouldn't have so many, bad feelings on brew day.
Yeah, right.
That whole thing of, damn it,
Yeah.
I messed it up again.
But there's some interesting data coming out of like the Brewlosophy guys and what they're doing with things like mash temp, fermentation temp. I mean, to some extent, at least on the homebrew level, how much control do you need to make the same beer?
Well, that's another video, but that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I think you convinced me. I guess these automated countertop brew systems.
So you're ready to drop $2,500?
Oh yeah, right now.
Awesome.
Get me on not Northern Brewer. I'll probably go directly to the manufacturer and buy one.
There you go.
No, I'm kidding. I don't think I can justify the cost right now, but I think that if you were somebody who was getting into the hobby and you really wanted to get serious and you were doing extract brewing, this is a great alternative.
I bet it takes the fear out of mashing. That's for sure,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, you could say I'm not going to have any problems with the whole, all grain transition because it's all here for me. No problem. So I like that. So all right, man. I think you won it this time.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, of course, it's all up to you. But thanks for watching and listening to us just going off on another subject. Please comment below, subscribe to our channel. We put out a silly video like this every week, but it's all about home brewing, and we love this hobby, and we love you for watching this video. Now I'm getting all
sappy.
All sappy. What the heck?
The soul has returned.
I'm getting
to
all
home brewing.
I'm getting all happy with you guys. So for Dynamite, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.
Cheers.